friends, and I am here once again with my beautiful wife, Katrina.
Hey, everybody.
So listen, we are coming to you with our first little installment, where we want to talk to you about the topic of marriage. What happens after we get married?
What happens?
That is the question. It's like, what happens to the love after we get married? What happens to the fun after we get married? What happens to the sex after we get married?
Right.
What happens to the respect after we get married? The
That's
romance, all of these things, it just seems like it changes after we say I do. After we have the grand ceremony, spend all the money, invite, friends and family to witness, this union that God has ordained, that God has created. But what happens to it after we say I do? That's the question.
What happens? That's a really good question, because a lot happens after the marriage. But today we're just going to give you a little motivation to get your love back into your marriage.
That's right. I don't believe that anybody gets married, with the intentions of getting a divorce.
Right.
When we get married, divorce is not even an option.
Nope.
Every couple that walks down that aisle, they believe, I know divorce happens, and I know that people, fall out of love, but not us, baby.
But
not us.
Oh, no.
Not us, because we just love each other like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, I found my soulmate. I found the one. And it is amazing how people that literally feel like that, they believe that. And it's not just, a figment of their imagination. It's real. They feel it in their heart.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5 years later, cannot stand each other's guts.
Right.
It's amazing. So something happens, something transpires or can transpire after we make that commitment, to get married.
Right.
First of all, from a spiritual standpoint, we know that God has ordained marriage.
Yes.
We know that God sanctioned marriage, even from when he created the first man and the first woman,
Yes.
Adam and Eve. He said that the two would come together and be joined as one flesh. For this reason, a man would leave his father and his mother. And so God ordained marriage. So right then and there, we already know that the enemy fights, Satan fights marriages on a whole nother level. I mean, we've seen people that could be dating for 5 years plus, right? And they seem fine, but when you say I do, it's like a whole nother level of attack comes, at that moment.
Well, it's because, people don't realize, but you've made a covenant with God.
Right.
You see? And the enemy hates covenants.
Yes.
Okay? He hates a covenant that we make with God. He will come against it with everything in him. He will throw everything at your marriage. Everything possible. Things you never even saw when you were dating. Wow. Okay? Even though you were dating 5 years, you never saw this. Because you were blinded at the time from it, or it never even was there.
Never presented itself.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to talk to you all a little bit about today, is that what happens to the love after marriage. Where does it go? Does it just disappear?
Right.
Does it just fade away? Does it vanish? How does it happen? One of the things I believe that is important when you think about that question to help somebody out is that sometimes what we have based our relationship on, the foundation that we have built our relationship on, is not really built on something that is built to last. No. And that is God, and that is the love of God, or love in general. I think, when I think about us and the marriage that we have, which I'm so grateful for and so thankful for, I know that one of the reasons why, we are able to have a successful marriage and be happy is because our foundation is God.
Yes. Yes. Many people, they build their foundation on money. Yeah. If the person had money when they got with them or whatever, they build their foundation on the sex.
Right.
Because they engaged in sex before marriage. They build their foundation. Maybe they even had children, and they get married for the sake of the children. Right. And some people base it on looks because of the way the person looks when they got together. But all those things are not a sturdy foundation. You know, those things are not a sturdy foundation. You're not to build a marriage. A marriage is a lifelong commitment and covenant with God. You're not to build a marriage on those type of things.
Those type of things. You know, I think of some other things. You know, infatuation.
Oh, that's a big one.
You know, many people when your relationship is new, you know, you're in that dating phase, that courting phase, or even leading up to the point where you're engaged.
Right.
There's still a level of infatuation that you have, you know, with that person. You feel all of these wonderful feelings. You just can't imagine being apart from that person.
Right.
But infatuation is not the same as love, you know.
It's not.
You know, love is something that is willing to sacrifice. Love is something that is willing to go beyond, you know, even when the other person is not necessarily even able to reciprocate that or make you feel some kind of way.
Right.
You know, and so infatuation sometimes we think we're in love, but really we're just in infatuation. Right.
That is so true. That is so true.
I think another one is that sometimes people get married because, you know, the fear of being alone.
Right.
Not wanting to be alone. That biological clock is ticking. You know, you're getting up there, you're in your late 20s or now in your 30s, and you're like, you found someone, they're kind of into you, and you know, we might as well do it because I don't know if I'm going to have another opportunity again or find somebody again to get married to, and so I don't want to be alone. You know, that person brings a certain level of comfort to me of not being alone or not looking like I can't find nobody. What's wrong with me? And all of those things are not foundational reasons for getting married. Because like you said, if that's your foundation, that's not something that is built to last or built to stand. It's not.
You know, another good one is people send a false representation of themselves.
Oh, wow.
And let me elaborate on that. What I mean is, have you ever gone to an interview?
Wow.
Okay? And you show up on time, or sometimes you show up early for your interview, okay? You put on your best interview outfit, you put your smile on, you have your hair, everything is in the right place.
Yeah.
You go into the interview, you answer all the questions perfectly, okay? All the questions that they ask you, and then you get the job, okay? Once you get the job, you show up late for work.
Oh.
Okay? You're late for work.
Okay.
You come in, your hair's messy, you don't care how you look, okay? So you're not not putting the best representation of yourself forward at this point. Your boss is getting on your nerve. You're not respectful to authority anymore. Your co-workers are getting on your nerves, okay?
Yeah.
So then what do we start doing?
So what you're saying is that the real you comes out after you get the desired result.
After you get the job, after you get the desired results, after you get the person who you were pursuing in a relationship.
Wow.
Okay? And then what do they start doing? They start putting in applications other places because they're unhappy in their current job that they did their best to get. Okay, you did your best to get the job, but you're unhappy, so you start putting in applications other places. Okay, wow. And the process starts all over again. But we have to ask ourselves, what happened in that prior job? What happened in that prior relationship?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Was it something that I contributed to? A lot of us don't look within ourselves to see what was it that caused this to happen.
Right.
But if we really dig deep and we look at the common denominator, because 9 times out of 10, the same thing is going to happen on this new job.
On the next
the
job.
Same thing is going to happen with this new person that you're now in a relationship with.
Yeah.
If you did not change yourself in your old habits and your old ways that were toxic.
Wow. That's so good. That is so good, because we really do send our representative, you know, a lot of times at the beginning and initial stages of our relationships. And then once we get the desired result, which is the marriage and the commitment, then the real us comes out. And then all of a sudden, you know, I feel more comfortable to show you my anger when you disappoint me.
Oh, wow.
You know?
That's a big one.
I feel more comfortable now to, you know, let some of my bad habits come out. I might be bad with money, or I might be, I might not respect your feelings, and now I can let down, and really the real you starts to come out a little bit. And that's so true. And so what happens is, I think a key for that is we must realize in our relationships that the same thing that it took for us to win the heart of our spouse,
come on now,
of our significant other, we have to continue to do it in order to keep them.
In order to keep them.
I know, I got this pretty young little thing sitting by me, and I understand, y'all, that I got to do the same thing to keep that smile on her face that I did when I was dating her. You can't switch up. You can't switch up, and I think many people forget that. The same thing that it took for you to win that person is the thing that you have to maintain.
That's right.
In order to keep them.
That's right. That's right. That's really, really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
So we hope that this marriage motivation encourages you to look within yourself. If your marriage has lost the love, it is not too late. It is not too late for your marriage to get the love back. There's some tools that you're going to need that we have discovered in times of counseling and educating other couples. But it is not too late. It's
not too late. I got one more.
Oh.
I got one more.
Let's go.
I think another big one of what happens to the love after we get married is that we don't know how to, I would say, heal or how to recover after the letdowns.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because like we said earlier, you go into the marriage with just all of these expectations.
Right.
Expectations that are so high, that are so, my spouse loves me. They will never say anything to me that's going to hurt my feelings.
Wow.
My spouse loves me. They are never going to do something that will disappoint me because we love each other so much. But let me tell you something. That is a false reality.
It's a false reality.
We are human beings. We are flawed. We are going to hurt one another.
Right.
And so what comes into play is that when the letdown happens, when you do say something that's a little bit harsh, and I didn't like your tone and the way you made me feel, I don't know how to rebound to that. And then after a while, I put a wall up.
Right.
We can't forgive each other.
Right.
There's a break in our intimacy. You're not feeling the love anymore. You're not feeling it anymore. What I once felt for that person, I'm not feeling it. And then next thing you know, you're scratching your head like, well, do I still love this person, or what happened? And I think that's another big ones, is that we don't know how to rebound from the hurts and the disappointments and the expectations that don't get met.
Right. That is very true.
What you got to say about that?
Very true. Well, that happens a lot in marriages. It really does. It happens a lot in marriages. Our expectations are up here, and we build up walls. We put walls up because our expectations weren't met, or because we did get hurt, by words or by an action or something like that. But I still say that you can still recover from that. You can rebound from that.
Yes.
You just have to have the education and the tools to do so.
Right.
But you can rebound from that. Your marriage you may not be feeling the love right now in your marriage, but you can rebound from that.
Yes, you can.
That's what I would say to that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank y'all for spending this time with us on today and allowing us to encourage you. We know that this little time and ministry was for somebody out there.
Yes.
Somebody needed this word today for
yes.
your marriage, to let you know that you can make it, that you can survive.
You can.
We're going to be back with you continuing this series, and we hope that you join us again, because there's so much more to talk about. What happens to the love? That's what we dealt with today.
Right.
But what happens to the fun after marriage?
What happens to the fun?
All right. What happens to the sex after marriage?
What happens to the sex after marriage?
We might have to cover that one next.
We can do that.
Hallelujah! Amen. But we're just gonna have fun with it. We want to just encourage you out there, and just to know that together we can. We want you to experience marriage God's way.
See y'all next time.
All right.